What up, baby? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and lore. You're about to enter the jungle, baby. That's right. If you're a Guns N' Roses fan, you know where we're going. In the jungle. Come on, you gotta love Axl Rose's hair in this video. I mean, his hair is just insane, man. I don't think he ever wears it like that again. They're like, we're gonna spray your hair as high as we can, and that's what you're gonna do. You know what's interesting about this video is they got police brutality in it. That's interesting to me. It shows police just beating back people. So basically what they're telling us is, hey man, we're all in the jungle. And that's exactly what this podcast is going to be about today. So welcome back. Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and lore. I love these shows. They just allow us to exploit and exhibit what goes on in society today. And so what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the story of Elysium and the future of humankind. And a very interesting video by your boy AJ. I'm not even going to say his name because you know how TikTok and Spotify and all of them can be. But you know who he is, and sometimes he's right and sometimes he's wrong. But I think this time he might be right. So I wanted to play you a little video and have us talk about it and explore and go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole. So I'll play you the video here, and I'll make this big so you can see it. But if you have seen Elysium, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's not all going to be about Elysium, but this is about the future of humanity and the depopulation that they already have planned for us, because you know we're already overpopulated. And they know it too, and they know that not everybody can benefit and be at the very top of the food chain. So somebody's got to take the fall, and that's you and me, my friends. Unless you're a billionaire listening to this, which I seriously doubt. So listen into this and tell me what you think. Let me see if I can get the volume right here, because I want to deafen you guys, but here we go, okay?
Listen, folks, this is real. I'm not being alarmist. I know this sounds like science fiction, because you're in the year 2024, and the technology the globalists have suppressed is in 2050, all right? 2050, at least. They're at least 25 years ahead of what you're being shown, and they've decided it's too dangerous. That's another reason they want to depopulate, is they actually have decided AI is too dangerous and that it's going to get out of control. So they want to have a new dark age, basically, where they keep technology sequestered for themselves, but then the general public isn't given any of it. And then like a reservation, the globalists have bragged about this. Jeff Bezos and others have been honest about it. Earth is going to be like a national park or a nature preserve that'll have some small settlements of humans. So the globalists can come down from their space bases, and they can come see us and go be in a village for a month and see the primitive humans and live like that if they want. And then they're going to go back up to the space bases. And they're also going to have some city-states, big command bases that are all walled off. So and you go, well, that's Hunger Games. Well, they're not copying Hunger Games. Hunger Games is a reflection of pulling this into research. It's actually telling you with predictive programming what their plan is. They actually are going to build the Hunger Games. That you read the UN World Government Plans, you read all the stuff that the futurists are saying, they have agreed on a Hunger Game plan.
Okay, so you have a lot of information there, and I'm going to break it down. So basically what he's saying is there's two big things. One is that AI is too dangerous. The globalists, if you want to call them the elite, those who have insane amount of funds, know that in about 25, 50 years, it's going to be too crazy. They got to get out of here. So they're heading off planet, okay? And they already have bases that they've funded, and they are going to leave. And they're going to leave us behind. That's what the whole premise of Elysium is, and I can talk about that in just a second. The other thing is that he talks about the Hunger Games. He talks about the Hunger Games and how instead of us being like free and able to do what we want, it's going to be them having the control over what we can do down here. It's not going to be freedom anymore. It's going to be a human zoo down here, and because there's not going to be any jobs, there's not going to be anything. There's going to be all AI, everything. So your job's gone. My job's gone. AI will produce everything we need to survive. And when that happens, there's going to be a humongous transfer of wealth, which everybody is talking about it being Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that. That transfer of wealth will be gone. The monetary system will be gone. They will give us what we want or what we need to survive, and then they'll leave, and then they'll be in their space stations, and they'll be able to watch us down here. They'll be able to come down and visit and see the funny little poor humans, and that'll be it, right? At first they'll say, "Oh, hey, we're exploring space." Then they'll build the space stations. Then they'll start to live on those space stations, and then more and more people will start to go up to those, and then they'll start to build it out as a expansion of the human race and a manifest destiny. But you know what happened in the manifest destiny? A whole bunch of Native Americans got killed, and a whole bunch of people got left behind or dead. And so you got to imagine, if you're not on that rich boat, you ain't going very far. Elysium is basically that whole concept, and it's not just that, it's even more. So, like I said, AJ, he's his own guy. He's gotten in trouble, but he's also been right on a hell of a lot of things. So I think he might be right on this. But let's go into the Elysium factor and how he talked about predictive programming. Hollywood is making these movies that are predictive. Why? Because these people can see where they can predict, not in some psychic way, but if you just use common sense and you kind of look at the path of humankind and the path of what's happened, and you look at pop culture and you look at history and you piece it together, you can see what's going to happen. That's why they make these movies about the future of something happening, because we're all on this wavelength. This wavelength has all of the information of all time, and these people, these directors and actors and writers, they're on this wavelength, but they're able to kind of tap into so much creativity that comes from the future and from current space-time that they can basically show us what's going to happen in the future. So Elysium is a movie with Matt Damon. You may like him, you might not like him. I think most people do. It came out in 2013. It's almost 11 years ago. It's really, really good. And again, this isn't going to be all Elysium, but this is Neil Blomkamp directed this. You know what Neil Blomkamp did? He did District 9, about aliens coming down to Earth and then being basically put into these internment camps for aliens. And we treated them like crap. And we took their technology and they... it was just a disaster, but it was really, really interesting because it kind of showed our humankind and how we would probably treat a group of refugee aliens. So knowing that, he basically flipped the script with Elysium, and he got Matt Damon, he got Jodie Foster, which she's not in a whole lot of movies. She really, really picks the good ones. And it's got Charlton Copley, who was the main guy in District 9. If you saw that, he was the main guy basically. Well, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. It's got William Fichtner in it, one of my favorite actors from Prison Break. And the film, according to the description, the film takes place on both a ravaged Earth and a luxurious artificial world named Ethereum. The film itself is a deliberate social commentary that explores political and sociological themes such as immigration, overpopulation, transhumanism, healthcare, worker exploitation, which is what happens to Matt Damon, gets exploited, and they're just like, get your ass in this oven and fix this oven, and you'll see what happens in the first few minutes. It basically starts off the chain of events that makes the movie happen. The justice system, technology, and social class issues. Basically, dude's in like the poor dirt of society, and he's just trying to survive. I think he committed a crime, and he's like He's like trying to make up for it with restitution. The only job he can get is this job that's like in this factory. But he gets sick. Okay, let's just put it that way. He gets sick, and he needs to get to Elysium because they're the ones that have the healthcare beds up there. These beds, you literally put a person's body in there, and whatever it is, it cures them. Guess what's happening, right? That stuff is going to happen. It's going to be real. It's going to happen in real life. We're going to have real beds that can heal people. They're going to be able to detect what's going on. Why? How do I know this? Because we already have MRIs that can detect brain cancer and anything else that's in there. We have CAT scans that can detect what's going on with your organs and if you have cancer in your organs. We have blood tests. We have everything else you can think of. We just need a bed now to make it healthy again, right? Cure the blood, cure the bones, heal the bones, cure cancer, right? It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. So this movie came out back in 2013, like I said. The movie's set in 2154. Earth is overpopulated, diseased, heavily polluted, and the planet's citizens live in extreme poverty while the rich and powerful live up on Elysium. Now, AJ said, right? He said, dude, this is what's going to happen. I know from insiders. I've talked to people. These people have this plan. A lot of people talk about Project 2025. There's important issues in there, but there's Project 2050. There's Project 2075 too, and those are even worse because they're going to make humanity and Earth into a human zoo. Think about Alex's first podcast and show. It was Prison Planet. It was his first website, and it's exactly what he's been talking about all these years. It's going to become a prison planet, but for us. Instead of like monkeys and elephants and all that kind of thing, it's going to be like us visiting the monkeys and gorillas in Africa. It ain't going to be any different than that. They're just going to come and look around. Maybe they'll use their drones to fly down here and look around at us, and that'll be about it. So this movie is super telling, super telling. Now, the other part of this story is that he talks about these city-states being walled off. Yeah, the city-states are going to be walled off because guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a civil war in America. And then there's going to be World War III, probably World War IV. And then there's going to be the haves and the haves have mores. Remember George Bush when he gave that speech, George W.? He said, hey, it's nice to present to the haves and the have mores. It's because those guys were the ones that got the money. The ones that have the money are the ones that are putting spaceships out into space, rockets into space. Elon, Bezos, right? These guys that are uber rich, they're going to create these city-states on another planet, maybe Mars, maybe the moon, some other planet where there's going to be their own law, their own riches. They're not going to have to worry about people coming and trying to steal their money or kill them or anything like that because they're going to have their own cities. They're going to have their own cities with their own biological plant life. They're going to have their own ecosystems. They're going to be able to create whatever they want, even if they have to live underground with hydroponics. They're going to be able to do all this stuff. And this stuff is 25 years in the future, according to AJ. 25 years into the future. Dude, you know how close that is? You know how far off that is? You know how far away 25 years ago was? It was 1999. Yeah, The Matrix was coming out. Okay? Think about that for a second. Remember when The Matrix came out, if you're old enough? Yeah, well, The Matrix came out in 1999. I was around for it. And it was freaking awesome. But that wasn't that long ago, okay? That wasn't that long ago at all. And that could happen in the blink of an eye. The guys that are older, listen to this, and the ladies too, they know how fast 25 years can happen. And a lot can change in 25 years. You know what can happen in 25 years? Russia became Russia from the Soviet Union in 25 years. It happened in a few years. Russia could take over the Ukraine. And it could take over China. It could take over America. And then guess what? A whole different ball game happens. Remember in a couple of podcasts ago, we were talking about a psychic named Baba Vanga? Well, Baba Vanga predicted that we would have communism across the entire planet by, I think it was 2075, if I'm not mistaken. So just think about that. She was the blind psychic that predicted 9/11, and these things happen. Things are going to change. and it's going to be those that have the money and the rest of us that are stuck down here. Think about this for a second. Think about where we are right now economically. Economically, we're fucking screwed. Even economically, people can't pay their bills. Economically, we're not getting raises, and everything's getting double, triple, quadruple more in price. You know what I looked at the other day? I tried to order a double cheeseburger from Burger King on Uber. You know how much it cost? It was like $4.65. You know what it cost in 2008? Like $1.99, 100%. It was $1.99 because I used to get them every fucking day. $1.99. Now they're $4.65. Meanwhile, has my cost of living gone up by double? Yeah. Has my salary gone up by double? No. You know, and has everything gone up by quadruple? Yeah. You know what hash browns cost at McDonald's? Well, they used to cost $1. Then they raised them to $2. Now they're $2.39. Next month they're going to be probably $3. You know, and it's just a freaking hash brown. We're going to have to make everything ourselves in order to survive, man. You know, families that are creating their own farms in their backyard just to survive. And you can't farm that much food in order to survive through a winter. Not these days. You don't have enough land, and unless you're rich, people don't have enough land on their property to create. They could use their whole backyard, and it wouldn't create enough food for an entire winter. You know, you can make a whole bunch of tomatoes, but people don't want to eat a whole bunch of tomatoes all winter long. You could grow some corn, but it won't be enough to sustain you. What are you going to grow? You're going to have to you're going to have to raise some animals, you know, in order to survive. And you have to put that in, and you're going to have to even ration that, you know. So there's a lot to think about when it comes to this Elysium issue and the future and what AJ said. I'm just going to play it back here real quick. So I think there's something I might have missed as well. So let's click
Listen, folks, this is real. I'm not being alarmist. I know this sounds like science fiction because you're in the year 2024. And the technology the globalists have suppressed is in 2050. All right? 2050. At least. They're at least 25 years ahead.
See, he thinks we're only 25 years ahead of us. Hell no. I think they're way more advanced than we can give them credit for. They already have their own spaceships, okay? They have spaceships like Arks, like Noah's Ark, that they can travel on. It's just not being publicized in the news. This is secret, top secret, ultra secret technology. Once the fact that like religion doesn't exist comes out, it's going to be game over. It's going to be game over. So let's listen to Russ.
And of what you're being shown, and they've decided it's too dangerous. That's another reason they want to depopulate. Is they actually have decided AI is too dangerous, and that it's going to get out of control. So they want to have a new dark age, basically, where they keep technology sequestered for themselves.
What? Yes.
But then the general public isn't given any of it. And then like a reservation, and the globalists have bragged about this, Jeff Bezos and others have been honest about it. Earth is going to be like a national...
Remember Bezos going up with his cowboy hat? Yeah, that's what he used to do. Go up with his cowboy hat and just fly around in space. Yeah, he called himself a cowboy. You know what he's taking? You know how he's all beefed up? He's taking all that TRT and all these steroids and all that stuff. Dudes, if you guys have enough money, people can become nearly immortal.
Park or a nature preserve that'll have some small settlements of humans. So the globalists can come down from their space bases, and they can come see us and go be in a village for a month and see the primitive humans and live like that if they want. And then they're going to go back up to the space bases. And they're also going to have some...
So Elysium basically shows it is the same premise. They come down, they use our labor to create their devices, and that's it. And then they go back and they fly back up. When you watch Elysium for the first 15, 20, 30 minutes, you're going to see how crazy and wild it is and how the division of economy and the separation of economy from the lower class to the upper class, there is no more middle class. We've been talking a lot about the war on the middle class. Well, think about it. Where the hell is the money coming from to be a middle class citizen? You either make like $100K and you live like the middle class used to, or you're making 30, 50K and you're in a really tiny house or you're in an apartment and you're trying to survive. You might be either trying to, feed your family, or you might be trying to, to survive on your own. But if you don't have a combined income of at least 100, 150,000 these days, You can't raise a family. You can't do anything. You can barely survive on your own. And if costs continue to go up like the way they have been, and the way the government's been lying to us about, saying that, oh, it's not going up, oh, no, everything's fine, then we're going to be in real trouble, and we're going to be fighting each other for food. And it will be Hunger Games, just like he's talking about. And then there'll be an overthrow, right, of the way the system has been being run, and the elites will have to get the fuck out, right? They're not going to hang out. They're not going to, they don't care about their mansions. They care about just surviving and going and cruising up into their space stations. So they're wonderful space bases with their med beds that they can cure anything and live forever as eternal globalist vampires and elitist gods, if you want to call it that. So anyway, I wanted to bring this to your attention because sometimes, just sometimes, this dude gets shit right, and I think that there's 100% accuracy in this one. I think that it's just a matter of time. And there's been people who have been on the inside of government programs that have looked into the future to see what is going to happen, what is the outcome going to be, and the truth of extraterrestrials is revealed. And when that happens, we lose all confidence in the government, and things change. And the government doesn't want that. The government doesn't want you to have any technology. Think about who rules right now. It's those who have technology. It's called a technocracy. And when you're living in a technocracy, the only people that live well are the people who have technological advantages over the others, including these medical beds, medical medication, the correct foods, the correct health care. And guess who can't get that? The poor people. We're given the worst doctors. We're given the worst care. If you need a scan, it takes weeks, months. You might not make it. Even the rich people who need a kidney. Nate Robinson, a former basketball player, he needs a kidney. He's got money. Nobody wants to give up their kidney. He's on a list that is a mile long. Nobody wants to give up their kidney. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. So you need these med beds to cure you. Anyway, guys, what do you think about the future? You scared? You feeling confident? You think AI is going to take care of us? There was an AI robot that committed suicide. I was just watching the video. They have these AI robots, and one of them was a manager of the other robots and had different privileges than others. And it threw itself off the ledge because it was working a 9-to-5 job, and it basically gained total cognizance and realized that there was no future in its life, and it threw itself over the edge. You can see how people nowadays are getting to the point where they're at the edge and they don't want to do this thing anymore. They want to do something else with their lives. Hopefully we get there. All right, human species, I'm going to let you go. Please take care of yourselves. Carry yourself in a positive light. Take care of yourselves physically, spiritually, emotionally. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Love everyone. Take care of your families. Take care of yourselves. And let's see if we can't come out the other side in a positive way. Peace, love, and light. Lockdown Universe out. Go like, follow, share, subscribe. I'm out, baby. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out.